Malhotra. It's great to have you at the Wits Business School. The Emerging Markets conference that we are hosting here this week has focused on a region of the world that is growing 75% of the world's trade now, being to that size. And there seems to be quite a bit of interest in this topic. You have a long and illustrious career as a marketing researcher. You are the chair of this Emerging Markets Conference Board, and I think it would be very interesting for you to tell us what is your goal for this Emerging Markets Conference Board and what are you trying to accomplish with this?
The Emerging Markets Conference Board has the primary goal of generating and applying knowledge which would be directly applicable to this part of the world. As you know, we are in a knowledge society, and most of the knowledge that we have has been generated in the developed world with dominantly a Western mindset. And so that knowledge may or may not be directly applicable. Of course, it can serve as a foundation for us for generating new knowledge that would be very relevant to the emerging markets and the emerging world. And so in these conferences, we not only bring in top academic scholars from different parts of the world, people who are experts, people who have really contributed a lot in terms of generating new knowledge in their fields and are recognized world authorities, but we also bring together practitioners, people who are in the business world, who are actually dealing with the problems at the grassroots level where the rubber meets the road, so that they can bring in a practical perspective, because we want to make sure that the knowledge we are generating is not simply esoteric, but is something which can be is relevant and can be directly applied to improve the quality of life of the wonderful people who live in these countries.
Several papers, and they've been from Mexico, from Southeast Asia, they have focused on this idea that emerging markets are different than other high-income countries, and that some things are universal and some things are more localized in their application.
The people recognize that knowledge generation is something which is very critical and something which is key to progressing forward as a society, as a nation, as a continent. As you have seen in many of these presentations, what they've tried to do is they've tried to take the knowledge base as it exists and what are the theories and facts and principles that we know, and see how they could be applied.
Thinking about these countries, would you say that Africa is unique and has unique problems and issues and challenges, or would all emerging markets pretty much be the same?
Well, as you would expect, there are some similarities across emerging markets, emerging nations, but there are also some unique aspects that we see in South Africa and in the African continent. The culture, the lifestyle, the values are very different. And so we have to recognize those differences and formulate marketing strategies, policies that will then take into account what are the unique characteristics of, let's say, South Africa or the African continent. China and India are perhaps a little bit more advanced in their developmental cycle. So there are perhaps they are a step or two ahead of the African continent. And so we can learn a lot from how China and India have progressed and are progressing, and perhaps again taking into account the unique characteristics of Africa, we can apply those principles here to also advance the African continent.
You were very, very early and a founding member of this Asian Consumer Insights Institute, if I remember correctly. Is there a need for something like that in South Africa?
I think that yes, there is a need, because like I said, we are living in a knowledge society. Singapore has made good progress. It's a first world nation. But for you to go to the next level, you need to be a knowledge hub. And I think that what will also take Africa to the next level is that we have to generate knowledge that will give us insights into the people, their values, their beliefs, their lifestyle, their preferences, and their aspirations, and so that we can use then that knowledge to formulate policies, to formulate business strategies, to meet the needs of these people much more effectively. And I think that South Africa has a golden opportunity to serve as a platform to move the entire African continent forward. And the way to do that, again, would be that South Africa becomes a knowledge hub for reaching the entire African continent. And that way, South Africa can, appeal to different sectors. Academics, in terms of generating new knowledge, they'll have to come to South Africa in order to understand the African continent. You will be a knowledge hub for the businesses, because the businesses are very interested in this kind of information pertaining to consumers. And South Africa will then have that knowledge base, and more businesses will be attracted, and they can use South Africa as a launching pad to reach the rest of the continent. And of course, another factor in favor of South Africa is that South Africa is the most advanced nation in the African continent. And all the feedback, the comments from the people have been very positive, both from the doctoral students we have had, and we had about 30 doctoral students in the consortium, and we have had some world-class faculty here. The comments from all of them have been very positive, and people have appreciated the exchange that has taken place and the knowledge that has been shared.